Welcome everyone. Well, again with another episode in which we are going to discuss particularly for practical paper 3 question number 1 and the most credited part of this question, and you know the idea because all of you have done enough practice on practicals in your respective colleges and other resource centers, and you know the drill. For question number 1, the most credited part of the paper, and any guesses? Obviously I cannot hear you right now, but yes, it is table of results, tor, or I used to call it Thor. You remember the Marvel character Thor, which is a huge character, a huge muscular one with the one with the hammer. The bottom line, Thor, just like huge, same way the Tor T of table of result is a huge a part of that question number 1 where you can gain most of the marks. A good table of result will let you earn 8 to 12 marks out of 20 from question number 1. That's why I used to call it Thor or Tor, table of results, TOR. How a table of result can be presented and can be provided in a question paper. You will always be given a blank space for making an appropriate and a most decent manner a table of results, because all your data compiled through the apparatuses provided to you for question number 1, all such data will be put inside a table in a decent manner, and this what shows how good practice a candidate has, or a good grip a candidate has on its practical activity. Well, table of result, let's say this is just an example of one of a question related to a circuit activity, in which you have given a circuit with the 2 voltmeters connected V1 and V2, and there is a distance x on a meter rule which is attached with a metallic wire. You have to change the position of this clip so that a reading will be changed across v2, and reading change will be accordingly across v1, and then you definitely have to record all these values somewhere. So the data is the value of x, the data is the value of v2, and data is a value of v1. Since it's question number 1, so definitely he will going to ask you write provide a table of results where you can compile or present your data. So see, you have to measure the value of x, then a v1 and a v2, and now where you are going to put this one in a table. Table is comprises of rows and columns. Change x, repeat a2 and b2 until you have 6 sets of readings of x, v1, v2. Include the value of v2 upon v1 in your table of results. Now here's a blank table, and how you gonna put all these values. Step number 1, constants never appear in the table, and at the moment in this particular question no constant is mentioned. The starting value of x is 30, and then you have to record v1 and v2 from the circuit diagram, right? And now one request from the examiner that you should also include a value of v2 upon v1. So how you gonna make the rows and columns? Step number 1, do not enter constant values in the table. Step number 2, follow the sequence of question paper. In this particular question, according to the sequence, first you measure x, then you measure v1, and then v2. So follow the sequence, right? I have drawn a table, and this table which I'm going to show you in the next slide have some problems in it. Let's see how many of you can highlight that one. Here is the table now. First column, serial number, you can see for 6 sets of readings. Then sequence wise in an order, the first column for x, second column for x, then v1, then v2, and then v1 upon v2. And there are some values randomly I have just taken, right? Now, this probably this a particular example, the table gives you 10 out of 10 if you do not make any mistakes. Number one, column headings. These is called column heading, ch, column heading. I used to call it for a fun as Chaudhary Saab, ch. And Chaudhary Saab is always a family member who comes on the top level. So this is the top level of the table, ch, column headings. Must have the symbol used for a quantity in a paper. You are going to use that one. Do not use capital X here. Slash, or you can even put a bracket for a separate to show a separation of quantity with a unit. Then voltage 1, voltage 2, and then voltage V1 upon V2, a farmaishi column or a requested column as it mentioned here. Include, he haven't mentioned you make a column for x1, v1, v2. He just said I need readings here. You have to give us a reading of x, v1 and v2, but include a column of v2 and v1. So this is used to be called a calculated column, and it should be done in the last resort. So see, in the last resort I have mentioned v1 upon v2. Now let's see how a candidate can provide a good table which can give him or her a full credit, let's say 10 marks. If he managed to complete all 6 sets with a proper arrangement of the data and everything, 5 marks for that. Providing all the proper column headings with an appropriate quantity, its symbol and unit, you will get a column heading value. How much range of variables you are using, you will get a mark for that one. Consistency in reporting the measured values in the table will give you 1 mark again. SF stands for significant figures, and how many significant figures and where you are going to write those significant figures will give you 1 mark, and then 1 mark is for the calculation. This is usually a breakdown of a table which is never mentioned in the question paper. Now let's find out some mistakes here. I probably get all 5 marks for the 6 sets, but I won't get a mark for column heading. Reason, look at here. For voltage, and always remember, voltage is the only quantity. The quantity symbol and the unit symbol both are capital V. So voltage V, but I have used small v, voltage V, and I have used proper V. So I will lose a mark here, but I might have a mark here. And always remember, if you make 1, 2 or 3 mistakes, doesn't matter, column heading scored 0 for you. You will get 0 if even you make a small mistake. And secondly, the last column is V1 upon V2, means you have to take a ratio of voltage V1 to voltage V2. So when you take a ratio of a similar quantity, no unit would be there. This is another mistake. So you will not get -2 for that, but you will lose a mark for the column heading because you made 2 tiny mistakes here. I must say a big mistakes. Symbol for a unit and a wrong unit here. It should be 1. That's the column heading range. Okay. Now, range factor. If you look at a diagram, on a meter ruler, you have to put this connector somewhere which is supposed to be initially 30, and then you have to figure it out. If I place the connector head, let's say 25, let's say 18, let's say 45, 65, 85, something like that, how can I have a respective changes in the value of V1 and V2, right? For this case, if you use less than 50% of a meter ruler, you will lose a mark for a range. For instance, I have starting value 29.3, and I am finishing somewhere 84.1. So if I minus 84.1 minus 29.3, I am getting 54.8. So I'm safe for having or acquiring or gaining a range mark because it's more than 50%. But still, again, I recommend go for a 70% of a range factor. Range you have to decide. Always remember that. Okay. So anyhow, but I have made another mistake. And what is that? When you are putting a values, the values must be consistent according to the precision of a instrument. Consistency mark will be awarded against writing a value for measured quantity. And since it's a meter ruler which is precise up to 1 millimeter, so it means all the values in centimeter must come up with a 1 decimal place. I have mentioned 2 decimal place. I have mentioned a unit with a 1 decimal place. No decimal place is being mentioned here. This is correct, this is correct, but there are 2 mistakes here. I will lose a mark for consistency. You got this? Should be remember. Take care. These conditions, these like a tiny bit the suggestions I am giving you, you must keep this in your mind. Okay, then v1 column is almost everyone is like every value is fine. v2 again every value is fine. Now I have to write v1 and v2. So consistency will be counted in the column of x. Could be possible they can consider the consistency for v1 and v2, but usually they the examiner will award a mark for any one particular, and which one is that, it's up to the wish of the examiner, uski marzi. All right. So but you have to keep all the measurements in a proper way. Okay, now v1 upon v2 is the only calculated column, so you have to divide 0.92 by 0.39 and then you have to write an answer. Now remember the significant values. The significant value mark will be provided from here if you keep all the significant figures in a consistent manner. For instance, there are again some mistakes. I deliberately made them so that I can explain how you can lose a mark. V1 is up to 2SF. V2 is up to 2SF. Why I'm using 2SF reason? Starting from here and ending over here, the range provided by the candidate is not crossing 1.00 to go over there, or greater than 1. If the voltage is above 1, it's gonna be like, let's say 1.01, it's going to be 3SF. But candidate is giving me a range starting from 0.9 to finishing at 0.61, 0.39, 0.7. On either side, at higher side, or sorry, so not the either side, on a higher side of both the columns, it's not crossing 1 volt. So the chance of third SF is at the moment not possible. So I'm keeping 2 SFs here and 2 SFs here. So minimum 3 SFs are required in this column, or 4 SFs, 3 or 4. Even you can keep to 2, but recommended is at least 1 up. Significant the calculated column must have a 1 up figure as compared to the measured columns. So significant values must be provided up to 3 or 4. So for 4 is this 0.4239, otherwise 0.424, right? Same way, like 4 SFs maintain. It is now the kind of like you are telling us there's a chance of another 5th SF, and 1 2 3 4 5 SFs. 3 SF, 2 SF, 3 SF, 3 SF, 3 SF, 4 SF. Again, you are making a mistake. So from top to bottom, all this particular column must have a same level of significant figure so that you will score this mark. And finally, the calculation mark. Examiner what gonna do? He will randomly select any one of the column, put this value in the calculator, and let's check whether it is exactly coming or not. And that will give you score of calculation, a 1 mark. This is how we usually going to rate or mark the table portion in the paper. Okay. Now, for instance, this is one of the exam from our latest exam series, May June 2025, question number 34. It is a question part 1 again. It's a mechanics question. You have given a pendulum with the two lengths mentioned here, L1 and L2, and then you have to oscillate the pendulum to record a time period T. And I have mentioned in my previous video how to handle the time. So now, then you have to see 6 sets. You have to give us 6 sets of values of L1, L2 and T, and there is an additional column you need to include, which is under root L1 plus under root L2. So how you are going to write a table, and this is the space provided in the question paper, guys. Okay, so it's always given to you. So what you gonna do, let me give you a quick idea of a table. Let's say I will draw a table. I'm drawing it. All right. Okay, this is supposed to be a serial number. Okay, now according to the sequence from question number 1, first I measure L1, then I measure L2, then I measure time, right? So I will make the first column for L1, L2. Now it's capital T, which is a time period, and you know the drill for time, for measuring times. Time for oscillations must be measured in terms of small t, number of for time for number of oscillations. So your first column is for first attempt of time T1, second attempt of time T2, average, capital T, and then the last final column I am going to write over here. Let me change color. Just so L1 centimeter, L2 centimeter, first attempt of time, second attempt of time at least, T average, capital T, and then under root L1 plus under root L2, and obviously its unit is centimeter power half because of root sign. Up now you can notice one thing, they have just mentioned in the question paper L1, L2 and T, and I have made some additional columns. Reason, time is always come with an extensive working of the idea for the time of number of oscillations and then take an average to get the final T. All right, so do not forget this one. Instead of writing these ones, if you just write L1, L2, capital T, and then this column, you will lose a mark for not making a proper table. You remember in the very first part of the video, I told you that like the 3 marks from question 1 and 3 marks from question 2 are in the hand of examiner, which he will award if he see a righteous way of attempting the paper. So for time, handling of time, these columns are very important, so be careful about it. All right, guys, and then obviously in the rows you will have first value, second value, third value, fourth value, fifth value, sixth value. If you find time, you can manage to provide us an additional rows, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8. If you manage time, you can go beyond 6 even, because this will give you an advantage anyhow when you are plotting a graph. Definitely we will going to talk about a graph, but in the Next, sorry, uh, in the next episode of this series of videos. So this is how we completed the table and the integrated marks I have just mentioned. All right, thank you for watching, and do mention your queries in the comment section, and do not forget to subscribe and share this video with your others, friends and colleagues. All right, thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.